Hey folks, this is Jimmy up here on the mountain here in Vermont. I'm walking up on one of the quarry sites here on the top of the mountain. Right over there is the western horizon. Serpent wall's over there too. But this is one of the white quarry sites, white quartz quarries. And the reason I'm here is because I have a piece of white quartz. A little different color than this, but right here. That's my horse stone. My horse. It's an axe head. You would haft it onto a stick. And the reason I brought it out here is because I like it. It's a nice artifact. And there's another horse around here I'd like you to see, which is right down here. There's white quartz coming out of the mountain there. This is a large standing stone, and it's all been shaped and carved. And it points to a direction, a point on the wall. There's a pyramid-shaped hole or tunnel in the wall. It points to the top of this stone here. This stone also has a point carved on it. And this is a carved stone also. It's very large. Carved on three sides to a point. And this stone was placed up here. There's an artificial mound down here that it sits on. And if the tree weren't in the way, you'd see the horse profile. There it is. The back of the horse, the back of the neck, the ear, the top of the head, the snout. Comes all the way back to here. It has a rider on it. At least that's what it looks like to me. And I have a horse here. And the power of the horse was put into this stone, and you would have hafted it onto a stick and used it as a weapon. That's it. Horse has an eye. And this stone also has another petroglyph on it right there. It's a pointed. At this point, they build tunnels in their walls that look similar to this, with points on them, and they point the directions. There's another standing stone down there with two burial mounds, red ochre burial mounds. Same way the giants were buried 5 miles south of here in Rockingham, where they dug skeletons up about 150 years ago. 5 miles that way. This tree, this maple tree, is pushing up these stones out of here. You can see all of these, the way they just lay here. And I showed this stone before. This is a hammer stone, I believe. One of the stones that helped create all of this shatter, I guess. And I found some artifacts in here that are very cool, effigies of birds and dogs and different kinds of animals. This wasn't found here. This was found in my garden, which is on the other side of the serpent wall, which is over there. So there's a mound here, earthwork here. Down here there's an earthwork. You follow this quarry site, or all of these broken pieces of stone that are being pushed up by this tree root. We walk down here. We have a Another large stone coming out of the ground. And here's the mounds. There's the east, the rising sun, and these are the red ochre mounds right here. I'll go down the bottom of this one. Right there. Goes this way, comes around, there's another mound, and there's a trench behind it. And the reason I found it is an animal had dug a hole in it last year. So me being curious, dug down inside and I found a mammoth effigy right in the red ochre layer right there. See the red ochre? There's a lot of sunshine out here, but that's the red ochre layer. Some of the stones I took out are here. I had a real nice mammoth effigy I pulled out. And I pulled out a round stone that had a symbol carved onto it. Almost like an eye carved into it. And I have photographs of that I'll pull out, but it had a symbol. And I don't see any of that here more than that. They carved faces and images and things like that, but their symbols were more like zigzags that looked like serpents. This was an eye shaped, and it was in the red ochre layer, buried in the red ochre layer, about 15 inches down, and below that is where the burials would be, if there are any there. You never know. We are going to find out. But they are sleeping and they are resting. And like I said, just 5 miles that way in Rockingham on Mount Ephraim were found the skeletons of giants. It's well documented. They took one of the skeletons, I believe, and had it displayed in the town doctor's office for a long time. But then I think the office turned into a store, and it was there for a while, then disappeared. Probably buried it in the town of Rockingham. Vermont's full of things like that. And there's barely any people in Vermont. There's about 500,000 people living here. So nothing really gets found or discovered. It's all covered in woods. And this was all covered in leaf. I never would have found this place if I didn't move the leaf. And it's all here. It's all in one spot. People were here making artifacts, and I guess they'd sit here and do it. Quarry the white stone right up there. And on the back of this hill, there's ridges that go like that, and with seams of different colored quartz in them. There's red quartz here, an orangish quartz, blue quartz, baby blue quartz. It's beautiful, very clear. It looks like glass. All kinds of quartz is why they came here, and garnets. There's gold up here, all kinds of stuff. You can see how the white stones are laid. They're under the ground, but they're in a trail going down. These are all earthworks. See the white stones? Here's one. These, they're laid. There's a trail going up to here. And this is an earthwork. This stone was laid here. Big, huge stone. It was laid there because it's propped up on smaller stones, and you can see it on the other side. This mound is all created. It had another hole dug into it. The critters around here like to dig holes. I tend not to dig into mounds because that's where they put their bodies, and I don't want to dig up a body, but I do want to see a giant. If there's giants in the area, they would be sleeping right there. And then we walk this way to the great and mysterious Serpent with its astronomical alignments. And there's the pyramid. It points to the horizon. The standing stone points to the pyramid. And this is the tunnel. And the horizon, western horizon, is through that pyramid. And I was here at the end of March, and you could see the light licking up the tunnel floor. For a few days it would lick up the tunnel floor. Hi Donnie. Donnie T. He's a service dog. He's an epilepsy dog. I suffer from seizures. So when I come out here, I may never return home. See the shape of that? That was on the big standing stone, the same shape. And that points to the horizon, which you can see through there. That dark line is the horizon. And this is the serpent head, right here. That's the serpent lair in there. There's quartz in there. There's the star stone right there. The ground star stone. And there's this stone here is what they made the red ochre out of. And this is rested here. There's a bunch more. It's placed around a few more. It's almost like a piece of rust. And I brought a few up here to show you. This is what they made the red ochre out of. This stuff. And it's found, that's why they came here to, also, I guess. It's everywhere here. And I put these 4 pieces here because that's what they are. They made the red ochre out of them. And they, I guess, thought they were important because they put it right here at the base of this serpent wall, which has all their astronomical alignments. It tells them what time of year it is. The stars, see this, the round stones as they travel that way? Well, they follow the horizon. They're astronomical alignments built thousands of years ago. This is ridge here. Right here is rock. It sits on rock. These are all placed together. There's quartz in them. If you look inside the wall, it's hollow. There's quartz placed between stones. This is an orange singing stone. Yeah, my fingernail. It's an acoustic wall. And it sits on ledge. Can't see it because of the leaves, but and there's quartz running this way through the ledge. You can see the ledge on this side. There it is. And that's the stone with the same shape carved into it as we have the tunnel. It's significant. The wall goes all the way down, and there's other astronomical alignments that look on the eastern horizon. These people knew what they were doing. And the wall's hollow built. There's these huge chambers in it. I've found caches of artifacts in these chambers. Strange, like shaman stones that looked like they were eclectic, came from all over the place and looked very old and had very strange animals on them. Some had red ochre painted on them. Well, this is Jimmy on the mountain, trying to make sense out of all this. I don't know if giants built this wall, but they did live here at one point. They were on this mountain, and I have hard evidence of it. I have giant axes with their portraits carved into them out of white quartz. Instead of a small axe head like I showed you, the horse, I have some that weigh upwards of 20 pounds. Almost 20 pounds, not quite, but they're pretty heavy enough to, you swing it once, that's it. These are the maple trees. that were planted in colonial times along the wall, and they planted thorns. I had to remove all the thorns. The thorns kept everything out of the woods from the fields. And once I took the thorns away, I discovered the quarry and everything in it, because the thorns had grown back into the woods. And there's still a lot of them back there, but I cleared all I could out. Took quite a long time, 3 years maybe. And the well, there's a well up there, a natural well, and a circular dug well. It's about 8 feet wide, and I don't know how deep it is. It goes straight down in the wall. And there's a corbelled chamber, a megalith chamber down there. That's the oldest point on the property, I believe, as far as construction. It's sunk in the ground. Actually, it's over there, right by that tree. It's sunk in the ground. This big sycamore tree grew out of it. And it broke this winter in half, the tree. But it's about a 30 or 40 degree angle into the ground, all these giant, very large corbelled stones with megalith stone on top, or stones on top, and it goes up under a mound that has a giant sycamore on it, and there's one growing out of the hole in the ground, and the hole's filled with water. It's turned itself into a well. You can't get down up in there. I got in there a couple times, but I was too afraid to go too far. It went down under the ground, and you had to go down, I guess, and come up. And there was too much water and dirt and mud to see what was going on. But there is a mound it comes up into that's above the ground, a mound. And I don't know what that's all about. It faces west. It's angled this to the east. Comes up onto a mound. There's giant stones on top of it. Giant stones. This whole place has cairns, standing stones, quarries, and if I look down at the ground, it won't be long before I start finding places where stones want to come out of the ground. Pieces of quartz, little hammer stones, just flakes. Sometimes you'll find a nice artifact. I found a piece of white quartz, and it's not unusual to see it, but sometimes you'll find a nice artifact mixed in with it. There's a piece of quartz coming out of the ground. And it's just nice being out here. Here's a couple stones I had found. Look at that. It's sort of a disc, very sharp. That's a nice blue color. This one's a disc. It's got the red in it. They just come right out of the ground here. There's ledge if you're not far underneath, so they can't go farther than the ledge anyway. And they don't. They come up. Trees push them up. Little pieces of quartz. And if you look hard enough and long enough, you'll find something that had an effigy carved into it. Sometimes you'll find places that have lots of them in one spot. I've found inside the wall caches that I've found a dozen stones that were stacked neatly on top of each other. Down the end of the wall, my metal detector picked up this huge reading. There's a huge space in the wall. You'd have to destroy the wall to get to it. But it reads like crazy on my metal detector. I have no idea what would be in there, because it's the same construction as here. And there's hammerstones in the wall. I find hammerstones, other stone tools that were just left inside the wall. A lot of stone circles on top. Some are still there. The top stones are the hardest, I guess. But you can see how this is a circle and there's a piece of quartz in the middle. Obviously for a reason. They like the quartz. This is a piece of that red ochre stone. And you can see there's some granite in there, which doesn't come from here. This is kind of a strange stone. But you can hear this. What's that? My fingernails. Listen. It's amazing. It's amazing. There's giants that used to live here. A lot longer time period than I think most people even think. Giants would have been here 12,000, 13,000 years ago. I think it goes back 20, 30,000 years or more. These people did not make arrowheads. They used things that hit. A lot of stones that hit. Clubs and axes and weapons like that. Maces. Beautiful, beautiful things. No arrowheads. Certain stones look like points, but they have a single face carved on them. It looks like they were trying to create arrowheads or something like it, but it was long before that was ever done. They carved animals that don't exist anymore. They only exist in books. I've seen all this stuff for myself. And the images are easy for me because I'm an artist. I have a background in art. I've been an artist all my life. There's another piece of the red ochre stone right there. You can see how it's just laid here. And this is ledge a couple inches under here. But I'm an artist and the images are way beyond anything I would have imagined could ever have been possible to put on a piece of stone. There's a strange carving. There's the singing stone, little stone circle. There's a hollow chamber under there. Under there. Water would go under and flow that way. And there's a big chamber under there. And the stones are fixed in certain ways. If I take them apart, it'll ruin it to see what's in there. But I can see well enough that there's a chamber beneath it. And I think it's a burial myself. It's a big rectangular chamber. It's got a big white headstone. This is what corbelled would look like. Stacked like that. I'm talkative today. It's been a long, hard winter up here. This is a natural walk. Breaking the wall to walk through it. You can see that stone's all worn. This is the shield. It's a face. It's a big piece of granite, and the whole thing has been carved. I'll show you. Look at the edges on it. All carved out the whole way around. And it's in this shape. And it's placed up on here in this stone circle, and it's got a couple of petroglyphs that look like eyes to me. It's a face, it's a shield. I don't know what it's for, but it's one giant artifact, and it's laying there in this, on this wall in this stone circle, right near this walkway where you walk through. And the corbel chamber, the old place, is right down there. It's kind of a cool piece of stone. I don't know what to do with it. It's huge. I mean, it just sits and watches people go by, I guess. Kind of weird, isn't it? But that's an all carved out artifact right there. And you can see it's not covered in symbols. It does have some, but not covered in them. This is Jimmy up here on the mountain. You can still see snow on Mount Akimo right there. There's snow on the mountain still. He won't be there tomorrow, maybe. Hope not. Jimmy here on the mountain saying, have a good day.